Yeah, the big debt is my student loans, and the interest rate's obviously higher than our mortgage, so we're trying to, be smart and pay that one first more than anything. My student loan number is 48,000, which makes me feel sad, but that it is.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. I just wanted to give a shout out for anyone who is interested in being a guest. It is completely anonymous, so we'll let you choose a fake name and we will hide identifiable information so you can come on the show and share freely. It is a full hour to an hour and a half with me, Barbara, and we'll do a deep dive on your finances, where you're doing well, where maybe you're struggling, and come up with a game plan for how to reach your financial goals. To be a guest, you just need to put a submission in either on Instagram or on our website, www.futurerichpodcast.com. And you just need to be a female. As we've said before, this podcast is produced with Amy, Alex, and myself, so an all-female team, and our goal is to help improve financial education amongst women. So that is why we interview women about their finances. So if you're listening to this and you're interested in being a guest, please put in a submission on our website, www.futurerichpodcast.com, or send us a message on Instagram.
Hello, and welcome to Financials Podcast Future Rich. I am your host, Barbara Ginty, and I'm also a CFP, which is a certified financial planner. And I am here with my guest today, Maude. Hi, Maude.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So, would you like to tell myself and then also our listeners a little bit about yourself? So, age, location, job, income, all that jazz.
Yeah, so, I'm 31 years old. I live in Pennsylvania. I work in healthcare and oh gosh, I already forgot the last question.
Oh, how much do you make?
Oh, I make about $100,000 a year.
Okay, so you're 31, you live in Pennsylvania, you're working in healthcare, and you make 100,000 a year.
Mhm.
Perfect. And then are you married, single, partnered?
Yeah, so, I'm engaged, so we have been
Oh,
together yeah, so we've been together for, 7 years, and we finally got around to, doing the whole wedding thing, and so we have a date for next September, for our wedding day. Yeah,
oh, amazing. So September 2027?
2020 actually, 2026. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you're
No,
right.
you're
Sorry.
good.
It's early
Yep.
here. Okay. September 2026. Oh, that's exciting.
I know, we're so excited. I mean, it's stressful, but in a good way.
Yeah, it
Um
is. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and I work so much for my job, it is overwhelming to think about where I'm gonna find time, but luckily, I'm obviously a planner, that's probably why I'm on the show, but, we have time to kind of, work out all of the kinks between now and then, so it's all
Oh,
good.
yeah. It's amazing when you need to do something, you find the time. And then when it's
Yeah.
done, you'll be like, "How did I do that?"
Yeah, yeah, I often wonder that.
Yeah. And, like, what exactly do you do in healthcare?
So, I'm a nurse practitioner. So I
Oh,
was
great.
previously a nurse and worked since I was 20, 1 or 2 in the field. That was my first job coming out of college. And then I went back to school. Oh gosh, probably 4 years ago now because school took me 3 years because I did it part time and I worked
Wow.
as a nurse and also went to school. And so this is actually my second year in the field. So I'm really, really new at it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's been crazy.
That's great. That's a great
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, yeah, it's a wonderful job. I'm really happy. Still learning the ropes, so I'm putting in tons and tons of hours, but it's, good.
That's why I asked what you did in healthcare when you said I have a lot of hours.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's mostly a me problem. Once I figure it out, maybe I'll work less, but until then, I just have to kind of keep, moving forward.
Right, getting, yeah, on solid ground more with the
Yeah,
new position. And then
exactly.
what about your fiancé? What does he do?
Yeah, so he's actually a carpenter. So that has been wonderful in our life because he's been able to fix our house that we have and do so many things for us, just the day-to-day things that come up if there's like a pipe issue or anything. Like he's just so handy. He built like a little garden out in the backyard the other day. So it's like wonderful having his skills to help
That's
us through life.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how much does he make, give or take? Like,
So
is he self-employed or
he works for a small business and they mainly do remodeling of like, homes that already exist. So there's only
Mhm.
like a handful of guys in the company and he makes like 66,000 a year with an annual bonus that varies.
Okay.
And it really just depends on like their revenue because the company's small, so they all get like a little piece of the pie at the end of the year, which is nice based on the work that they do.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
so that's really nice.
Well, do you wanna walk me through, so a lot of life things happening. Do you wanna walk me through, your income and expenses and how you split it with your fiancé, or if you do?
Yeah, so that's kind of like the part that kinda makes my head spin. I feel like we've been together for a while. We have been doing like split finances, but also together. And we've bought a house in the last 3 years. So it's like getting harder and harder to have separate accounts. I don't know. There's all sorts of different like perspectives on that. But I like, we started just kind of splitting the bills when we were renting together, and we were going down the line, we were doing half and half, and then, we got the house, and then I started basically, like, paying him rent because the mortgage is in his name even though we're both on the deed,
Oh, why is the
which is
mortgage just in
weird.
his Yeah, why is the mortgage just in his name?
So when we bought the house, I was in
You were in
school
school and
and
you
my
had no income,
income. Yes, exactly, and I was making some money, but,
not
it
enough
wouldn't have
to
made sense.
qualify. Yeah,
Exactly. It wouldn't have made sense. It would have probably dinged us, I think. Maybe it
yeah.
wouldn't have, but we thought about it and we went back and forth, and he was like, "I'll just do it, like, you have your student loans," like, and so that's how we worked it out.
Okay, so
We
the
don't really have
mortgage
a good reason
is
for that.
No, the good reason is that you didn't have a W-2 job at the time, or you were in
Yeah, I was
school.
between jobs. There was times I was not making any money. There was times I was making, like, money short term. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the mortgage people don't like that.
Yeah. We thought that they wouldn't. We had a
Yeah,
feeling.
you were right, they don't. They like W-2 consistent income. I had clients and they were entrepreneurs and they just finished a project and sold it and made a lot of money, and then they were looking to buy a house and they couldn't get a mortgage. They had tons of money, but the bank doesn't care how much money you have in the
Wow.
bank. They just want you to have income, right?
Yeah.
Because 'Cause you're
Yeah.
borrowing their money, so they wanna know that you have income to support it. So, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so the deed is in both names, so you both technically own the house,
Yeah.
but you don't own the debt in theory, but you're paying,
Yes.
um okay, that was
I pay
situational.
him every month.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. As you got the house 3 years ago, what did you buy the house for?
So our house was really cheap, which is also why I mean, cheap, it's a house, but for a house, I think it was cheap, but we did that because he was planning to fix it up. So we've also, like, put aside money to put into the house, but the house
Okay.
itself went for 127,000,
Oh,
and
that's
we
fantastic.
yeah, yes, and our interest rate is almost, like, embarrassing to talk about in this day and age, but it's 2.83% for a 30-year fixed. So
Amazing. You
yeah,
nailed it. I mean,
we
I don't everyone
couldn't be
listening is gonna
happier.
be like, "Where in Pennsylvania do you live?" Because I would like to buy a house.
Well, I mean, it's like it was kind of a steal, like even around here, like houses are a little bit more than that just a few years later. So I don't know, we got
Yeah.
lucky, but if we couldn't, we wouldn't have bought it if he couldn't fix it up. So it wasn't
Right.
in like beautiful shape when we bought it, but he's made it look nice.
That's amazing. Yeah, having
Yeah.
a handy partner is very nice because, as you know, everything with the house costs money, like,
Oh my
lots of money.
gosh. And since we bought the house, I mean, I asked him yesterday, I was like, how much do you think we've put into this house so far? And he's like, probably like 30 grand. So we knew it needed like extra money when we bought it.
Right, and if he's doing the work himself, then 30 grand to other people would have been probably 60 or 70 with the markup
Yeah.
for labor.
Exactly. Yeah, and he is. He's, like, slowly trudging through all the projects, but, like, we don't have, like, outlet covers on some of our outlets, like, there's a few holes in our walls, but I just can't be bothered about all that.
Yeah, eventually you'll get there because he's doing it, right,
Yeah,
nights and he's doing it nights and weekends, right? So when he gets done,
exactly.
yeah. So he has, like, 2 jobs. He has his regular job where he does carpentry, and then he comes home and does,
I know, he's a saint.
yeah,
Yeah,
carpentry.
he's just such a saint.
Amazing. Oh, I didn't ask how old he is. So you're 31, and how old is he?
He's 29. We're 2 years
29.
apart. Mhm.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so then do you wanna run me through your income and, like, maybe just break it down, like, is it just your income, or because it sounds like you have separate accounts for for most stuff and then some joint accounts?
I know, it's a mess, and I feel like that's why I wanted to, like, talk to you because we split our we try to split the groceries too.
Okay,
I don't even know how I could explain this, but, basically, our expenses, like, fixed every month. We pay, like, 900 for the mortgage because
okay,
it's so low, and then there's the utilities, which are, like, 600, we think. We looked and got some averages for, like,
okay,
our sewage, our electric, our gas. So we averaged it around, like, 600 a month. And then internet and phones, like 200. He bundles his homeowners and car insurance, so that's like 300 a month. I pay my car insurance, so that's like 120 a month. We have a bunch of subscriptions and we pay for a gym membership that we don't even have time to use anymore. So all of those together are like 200 a month. And then he, unfortunately, through his job, the only real big downfall of his small company thing is that he has to pay for his own health insurance. And
okay,
since we're not married yet, like he's paying through the marketplace. So his
okay.
health insurance is a huge bill every month. It's like $375.
Yeah, expensive.
So that's part of the reason we're like, should we get married on paper sooner and get rid of that bill and get him on my insurance? I don't know, but probably the answer is yes.
It's personal preference. I mean, you're gonna get married anyway in 2026, and so some people say there's nothing different about the piece of paper, and then other people tell you that it feels very different once you have the piece of paper versus not having
Right,
it. So I would say it's personal preference, but from a financial standpoint, if it doesn't matter to you to do the formality, right, the legal aspect of the wedding, where
right,
legally you're married, because then it's going to change your taxes too, besides the health insurance. You'll be married filing joint versus filing
right.
single.
Which I haven't even thought of understanding quite yet.
It's easy. We'll go we can talk about, it's just 2 different brackets. So for you, it's gonna be better, for him, it's not as good, but that's okay.
Okay.
It should be a, or let's see. Well, we'll talk about that at the end. We'll come back to the tax difference.
Okay.
But yeah, it for you, it doesn't make a difference, then it would save you 3 because what do you pay for health insurance? What would it be for him to be on yours?
Oh gosh. I can pull up that information. I think I have what I pay for my health insurance every month. I pay like for just me, it's like $75 a paycheck. Does that
Okay,
make
so
sense?
yeah, that makes sense. That's
Okay.
150 probably a month. Do you get paid twice a month, or
Twice a month, yeah.
so okay, yep, so it's 150 a paycheck. So then you would just have to look to see what the family plan costs.
Right, which I think is a tiny bit more, like, it's not just double, it's, like, a little bit extra, I think. So it's probably, like, around 3 or
Okay.
so.
Yeah, so then if it's another $150, or even if it's $100, you pay 250 a month, right? Another
Yeah,
100 on your side, then it would save you 275 a month, or save him.
which is,
But
like, a lot.
yeah, which is a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't, I really stick in finance, so I can't give you, like, if you
Yeah,
feel comfortable
yeah.
getting married early for the health
Right.
insurance. Another year and a half isn't gonna make or break you probably, but 250 over 18 months, it's something.
Yeah, it's something. We could
Yeah.
use that elsewhere.
Yeah, it works out to be another $4,500 from your budget.
Okay. Yeah, that's something.
Yeah. So something for you two to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people feel very firmly like that they don't want it to be before their wedding date because that's the date. Um, I'm not
Yeah.
in that camp because we did our legal ceremony earlier
Right.
and then we did the party after. So it's very I would definitely call that personal preference. I don't think that over your lifetime, $4,500 is going to change the trajectory of your finances.
Okay. That's helpful. I mean, I think I fall
Yeah.
in that camp too, but, we go back and forth. These are hard decisions to make.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
And there isn't a right or wrong here, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what makes it hard to make the decision.
Yeah, because there's, like, no definitive yeah, it's
Yeah.
not like you're right or you're wrong. Yeah, it's personal preference, so whatever works and feels most comfortable for the 2 of you.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, that is a big bill compared to like all of our other stuff every month. Um,
Yeah, it
yeah.
is a big bill. Yeah, health
Yeah.
insurance is expensive when you have to go get it on your own, for sure.
Right. Right.
Okay, so yours is 150, and then what other bills do you have? I know you said the gym that you're not using.
Yep. Yep. Um, subscriptions. Um, I like kind of loop those together. I feel like those are the main like big monthly bills that I could think
Okay,
of.
what about
And then
food?
then we have like the variable expenses like
Okay,
groceries. We do spend a lot on groceries. We love Costco. He eats a lot because he's, like working so
working
hard.
physically? Yeah,
But we probably spend like 600 a month on groceries, I'd guess.
okay,
Um, and then we do like for like gas, I guess I put like 150. And then we do like to spend like some extra cash with like our friends going out to eat and just going to concerts or whatever. So I put like 300 in like the fun category a month. And
okay,
sometimes I do like spend more money than others certain months shopping
sure.
on like clothes and makeup. Like all of it is so expensive. So I just put like 200 in the shopping category because sometimes I go to Target too.
I know Target is so dangerous. You never
It,
leave with what you want it
and
to
there's
get it
like
go.
months where I won't shop at all, and I'm probably spending like way less than that. But then if I do go to Target one month, I'm probably spending like way more than that. So it's hard to quantify.
Okay, so we'll put down 200 for that.
And I
Um,
couldn't think of like other like categories beyond
so
I told you internet and phone too, I think.
mhm.
Okay.
So I have down for including his health insurance for the fixed, approximately 2,800 in expenses.
Yeah, that's what I got.
That's what you have. Okay, and then for the variable, I have down 1,000 so like 1,250?
Yeah, about.
Okay, give or take.
And then
And then
and we have
what
a dog too, and we
oh,
also
right.
actually pay our a dog walker to come hang out with him 3 times a week. So I think monthly we give her about like $300.
Okay, so that's a big one.
Yeah.
Okay, so that will bring it up to we'll just say 1,600 for variable. Okay, and then so we threw your fiance's car insurance in there and his health insurance, but none of his other bills. So walk me through how like what you have coming in a month and then what he has coming in a month and then how you're divvying it up. I'd be curious.
Yeah, we're not. It's a hot mess. We every month I think I net like 4,400, so like a lot of my expenses for retirement and like health insurance and everything comes out before
Yep.
that hits my account. For him, he just like pays his those bills after and he brings in like 3860 a month.
Okay.
So how we're divvying it up is, like, I'm basically just giving him money every month to try to cover, and it changes. So, like, on
Okay.
months where, like, we spend more on groceries or dining out, like, I just send him more money, and which sounds so stupid saying out loud, but I, like, give him, like, a fixed amount every month of,
Month.
like, $600,
Okay.
um, and, like, some months I'll give him an extra, like, few hundred, like, this year we we replaced our furnace, so we, like, are splitting the furnace bill in half, and so I'm giving him, like, installment payments for towards the furnace.
So you give
Uh,
him 600 a month?
I do, yeah.
And then so then because and that's mainly for the mortgage and the utilities? Because it's not
Yeah.
half of your
Oh,
expenses.
wait,
Okay.
I give him 600 a month because I pay my student loans, and we haven't got there yet, but,
Okay.
that's part of the reason because we're trying to prioritize paying off my student loans at some point in the future, so I'm definitely not giving him half, but when we do like make bigger purchases, like I
Then
give him
you do.
extra. And I could like send him like $1,000 one month or something. You know what I mean? Like depending on what
Okay.
we're doing.
So yeah, then let's jump over. So you're bringing home 4,400 net, but and you're only or not only, but you're contributing 600 to your fiance for all the bills. So he's carrying all the bills at this point. Give or
I yeah,
most of
I
it?
guess. Yeah, I guess he is. Except
Right.
like we do have like a shared credit card and like the groceries, but he I guess he pays on that credit card. But like I pay for like random stuff on my I don't know, it's just a mess. I don't even think I could explain it better. Like,
Okay.
I
So
pay for the subscriptions, I pay
okay.
for the Peloton, I pay for my own, like, phone bill, my own
Okay.
insurance,
Got it.
and he
Okay. So
so, like, half of those bills I kind of gave you as, like, shared. I
okay.
would say I'm paying several of those a
On your
month
own.
on
Okay.
my own, yeah. Like, a lot of
Okay.
the things are in my name
Got
too.
it. Got it. Okay. And then in his name is the mortgage, the utilities is his name?
Yeah, he has mortgage and utilities, he has the homeowner's insurance and his car insurance
Yep. Okay.
and his health insurance,
And his health insurance. Okay. So he
which
is
is
that. And
most
then
of the
you
bills. It
yeah,
is
and then
most of them.
yeah, and then you have your car insurance and then
Yep,
groceries you split.
yep,
Gas is
and
yours for your
gas is
car.
actually just mine, yeah, he
Yeah.
gets it through work, and then
Okay.
dining out and entertainment and shopping, I'd say I pay for most of those bills actually because I just
Okay.
know that
Got
I
it.
don't contribute as much, so I try to pick up the slack on those things.
On those things. Okay. Perfect. Okay, well then let's talk about the expenses and we can maybe come up with an idea to make this a little more we could see if we could simplify the
It's such a mess.
just to make your life easier.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about this. So it sounds like your biggest debt, because the mortgage is a great. I mean, you don't really have a huge mortgage. You have a great interest rate. So is the big debt student loans?
Yeah, the big debt is my student loans, and the interest rate's obviously higher than our mortgage, so we're trying to, like,
Yeah.
be smart and pay that one first more than anything. My student loan number is 48,000,
Okay.
which makes me feel sad, but that it is. And my interest rates, like, it's kind of varied between different chunks. So,
Okay.
like, I there's probably, like, 4 different loans with different interest rates between, like, 4 and 6% ish.
Okay, that's
Ish.
not terrible though.
Okay. That makes me
Yeah.
feel
I
better.
mean, compared to your mortgage, it feels it, I'm sure, but it's not actually that high. Like, I mean,
Okay.
I was nervous you were going to say 7 or 8 or 9%.
Okay. No, no, they're, through, like, FAFSA.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
So what are you paying a month on those?
So, given, like, the student loan pause, I was eligible for the SAVE plan when I signed up for that,
Okay.
and so I've been trying to pay, like, 600 a month, or actually, I think I've been able to put, like, more like 800 a month over the last few years towards them.
So
So they were a lot
you
higher
okay,
before.
so you
Yeah.
paid through the pause. So you were still working on
I was
reducing them.
I was trying. I would say, like, the first, like, 6 months of my job, I was not paying as regularly, like, I wouldn't because I was on the SAVE plan, so I was just doing that to
Yeah.
try to stay ahead of it, but there were definitely months that I didn't pay at all, and then there were months that I paid more.
Okay.
Um, so it's been kind of, like, variable, but for the last, like, 6 months steadily, I would say I've been able to put, like, 800 a month towards them.
Wow, okay.
Um, yeah, probably because 'cause I'm not paying Andrew as much as he should have.
So let's see. So you're putting 800 a month towards it for 48,000 left. So
Yeah,
it's
I
not
was, like, in the
exactly right.
60s at first, I feel, like,
Oh,
or
wow,
close to
okay.
60. So I've been able to dump in a lot.
Yeah, and at so around 800 a month, you'll pay them off in about 5 years from now.
How
So, but I
many?
do have a 5, 60
5?
months.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do have a question. With your job, do you work would you qualify for the public service loan forgiveness?
I would, and I, like, moved jobs last year, so I'm only, like, probably less than a year into this new job where I would qualify, the other one I did not. So, I was
The other one
wondering
you
if it
did,
would
okay.
make sense to do that or not for me. If I could, like, aggressively pay them down, I didn't know if what would be better.
Well, gosh, it's hard to say. So walk me through like with the wedding's going to go on because you can technically you can afford to make these large payments and get it paid off a lot faster than 10 years.
Right.
So let's just but we'd have to see like what would you end up paying because you'd only have to qualify this past year, right? And then you'd have 9 years left to go,
Mhm.
really.
Mhm.
So that would put you at 40, which I know sounds ancient. So let's see. There is I taught a consumer net. Let me just see. Let me see if I can pull this up real fast. There is a really
Yeah.
cool interactive chart, and I taught a class about it, and I just don't remember. Um, we taught a class on student loans for the public library system of Chicago,
Okay.
and yeah, it was great. Let me just see if I can find this class on my desktop. Okay. And then there's an what there is there's an interactive website and you can put in and you'll see how much you'll end up paying on all the different options. And I think
Oh,
that
that's nice.
yeah, so that would be really interesting. So actually my slide shows me almost your exact scenario. It's a little off, it's about $10,000 off. But it says if you did the public loan service forgiveness, and this is using an example of 37,000, you would end up paying 31,000 over the 10 years. And then it's saying with paying extra, you would end up paying this is a debt of 37, you would end up paying it off in 7.6 years and end up paying 46,000. Let's see if we can run this real quick. So, just be curious. I guess we can use an
Yeah.
average interest rate for you to see what let me pull this up. See. So it's consumerreports.org and it's called calculator is called costing it out. Oh, but they won't let you put in your actual balance. Oh, that's sad. It
Oh,
just shows
man.
you that I know. Wouldn't that be great if you could like put in your balance and your interest rate? So
Yeah, because
you
I've
can't.
been trying to figure this out for years. Like, I've been
So
trying to figure out what to do.
so the tricky thing is you make good money, right? You're making six figures, and so I'm just not sure. We'd have to look at it, and I wish I was a genie and could do this that quickly. But what it would come down to is figuring out approximately what you would be paying on the income based, right? Whatever
Okay.
option you choose. Because remember, the public service loan forgiveness, you're going to use one of the income plans. So it's going to be based on your income. So you would then want to be most likely doing married filing separate or to get the qualification of your income just being judged at 100 and not married filing joint at 160 unless they give you credit for your spouse. That's more of a tax question really. But basically
Okay.
what you would want to do is get an estimate for what would you be paying monthly on the public loan service forgiveness. So would your payment be in theory 300 a month for 10 years, right?
Right.
And then it's forgiven. The other thing, because if it's 300 a month for 10 years, that's 120 payments, you would end up spending 36,000, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Versus let's say you're going to pay 800 a month for 60 months, which is 5 years, you're going to end up spending 48,000. Now, that's the math answer. So you would just determine what is your least cost to pay back the loan and you can go with that.
Okay.
Now, what I would say is the other flip side of that is it depends on your life plans and if you're opposed to having the debt for 10 years and you say, "You know what? I'm okay with spending a bit more because the difference is $10,000 over 5 years." So I would rather just be done in 5
Mhm.
at 36
Mhm.
versus 40, 41. And, time is money. And then once I'm done with that, then that money can be invested differently. And it gives me 5 extra years to use those payments towards something else.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. I was, like, unable to think about it, just reading about it.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense.
And also, like, you might say, I don't want to be tied to this job because your prior job didn't qualify. I don't want to be
Right.
tied to this job. I want to have the flexibility to leave when I want to leave, right? And do what I want to do. And I'd rather just bite the bullet and pay it off. It's not going to save me money by doing it, right? You'd save money by doing public loan forgiveness, but
Mhm.
I want to be debt free by 36. That's my goal. I want to not have to, maybe I want to go in private practice, right? At my goal is
Right.
to do something different and not work for a qualifying employer.
Right. Right.
Those are the
Yeah.
other questions you have to ask yourself because it's important to look at the math. And I would look at the math still so that you're making an informed decision. So you're saying, okay, I'm giving up, by not doing public loan forgiveness, I'm going to lose out on 10,000, right? I would save
Mhm.
10,000 by doing it. But then you say, okay, but my life goals are I only really want to be with this employer for 5 years. I want to be debt free by the time I hit, you know, my mid 30s. And so that is more important to me than saving $10,000.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
that's
how
definitely
you
something to think about.
so that's how you'd weigh it out. Cuz I talk to people who would say, "I love my job and I hope to retire from here." Well, then obviously that would be like, "Okay, well then you should probably go that route."
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's super helpful.
Okay, good. So I would talk to your fiance about it because it impacts both of you. Because I'm going to talk to you about like maybe how we like combine your money
Mhm.
a little bit. So, and I wouldn't rush to make a decision because if you decide to go public loan service forgiveness and then you don't do it, right? It's going to be a lot worse, your situation.
Right. Right.
So you have to commit to the 10 years and you have to qualify it every year and you got to stick with it.
Okay.
Because what's going to happen is if you do that and then you decide 5 years in like I have this really amazing job opportunity and I can't turn it down, your loans will have grown and be a lot larger at that point and you
Right.
will no longer qualify so you end up paying back more debt. That would
Right.
be that so the absolute worst case is you start down that path and then you quit or
Mhm.
end early and that is would be very bad.
Okay. Yeah, that's something to consider because 'cause I'm still, like, new in the job, and I think I would
Mhm.
wanna be here, but I'm not exactly
You
sure,
sure? Yeah.
Who knows what the next 10 years will bring.
I
So,
know. So I see people go either way. Like I definitely have seen people just bite the bullet and pay their loans because they don't want to have to worry about where they're going to be in 10 years, right?
yeah.
Because they want to have more flexibility. Now there's like and then I have the other people who are like, in a qualifying school and they have no intention of ever leaving that school. That's the plan. Not to say that life doesn't throw you curveballs. So they
Right.
go down that path. So I think it's just important to consider the options. Kinda like what I said, there's, like, the math decision and then the personal decision. It's the same thing with, like, getting the marriage license earlier versus not.
Right.
And you could even say, like, the way we're gonna compromise around this is we're gonna get the marriage license earlier because 'cause we're gonna save $250 a month. We'll put that extra savings towards the loans so that you're doing 1,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
And then that 1,000 a month gets you down to, 48 months, right,
Okay.
to get it paid off.
I know, like, it would be so nice to just be done with debt,
Yeah.
early. I don't know that, like, everybody has that opportunity. It just feels really nice to be able to, like, do that.
My opinion, having talked to you here for 45 minutes, was
Mm.
that given that you have very good income and you don't really have any other debt, you have a very low mortgage and you have flexibility, and you're new in this profession, there's a lot you can do as a nurse practitioner. You don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to work for a qualifying institution. There's a lot of roles for nurse practitioners that wouldn't qualify, that would be maybe very interesting for you or something you would like, or where you could increase your earning potential. So the vibe I got from you was kind of if you guys sit down and do a household meeting about it, it's probably maybe commit and get it paid off in 3 or 4 years and be
Yeah,
done and be
yeah,
done.
Yeah, he hates debt.
I had a feeling. I had a
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, he hates it. He hates it. So I think we probably would end up doing that, even though it might be the more expensive option. We
But
also really like to be able to like, what
be
if we want to like
free.
move or yeah.
Yeah. Time is money, right? And so when you're looking at just what do you pay the least amount, that is your longer time to hold the debt, though. So time is money. If you get it paid off in 3 and 4 years, like especially if you did the health insurance thing where you're saving 250 a month and you put that towards the student loans, you're paying over 1,000 a month towards student loans. With that plan, you'd be done in 4 years. And that means 6 years without a debt payment, which means for 6 years, if you were saving, let's just say you took that 6 years and you put that 1,050 towards something else over 6 years, which works out to be how many months is that? Let's see, times 12. So if you were investing that money, you would end up with an account. Well, if it was a bank account, you'd end up with $75,000 saved
Wow.
instead. Right? So
Yeah.
there's the flip side. By having it paid off early and you're just now it's part of your budget. And then if you said we're going to use the 10 years, the first 4 years, we're paying off the debt with this number. And the next 6 years, we're investing it. Time is of value, right? The longer you put your money away, the more time you have,
Mhm.
the more valuable it is.
Right. Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. And it, once again, personal, like I see people do the public loan forgiveness and it goes really well. But if he's against debt and you don't love it and you're not sure where you're going to be or what you're going to do and you have the ability to, you could probably tackle it very quickly.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so besides student loans, we have no debt. And then what about the wedding?
The wedding, we are getting help with.
Oh,
Our parents are
nice.
both able to help us a little bit, which is really, really nice. So we're still trying to keep it like pretty simple. We're trying to go under budget, but we're really fortunate our parents are both able to help and probably will end up contributing like out of our own money, maybe like 5 to 10,000.
Okay.
Um, Thinking about the budget now, but as we get closer, that could change.
So then why don't you talk to me about what you have saved, your savings?
Savings, we also like I was just an absolute nut about saving when I started my first job. So my retirement is I don't know where to start. I have like money in my own
Okay,
retirement account and then I have money through work. So my
perfect.
own retirement account, I have a Roth IRA with 55,000 in it. I rolled over an IRA into that account at one point with 9,000 in it from a previous job.
Okay.
Um, and then through work, I have two accounts that I just completely don't understand. I have a 403B and a 401A, and I don't know why I have two separate ones. And I also have a
That's
pension through that
oh, that's
work account.
amazing. I love a pension.
The pension is small though. The pension, I don't, it's
That's
only
okay.
like 7,700.
That's okay. It's
Uh,
better than nothing.
It is, yeah, it is, and I don't even know I couldn't even tell you, like, how much they contribute to it or the details of the pension, but I've been at this location for a long time, like, even though I've moved between jobs, like, I've been contributing to that one for several years because it's all in the same
The same
institution.
institution? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that one, it seems small compared to what I've been able to accumulate in the other 2, but,
That's
it's still
yeah.
good, obviously.
No, yeah, it's great. And so what do you have in the 403B?
I have 18,000 in that.
Amazing. And what are you contributing?
Man, that's a great question. When it comes to retirement, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very confused. I'm very confused. Let
So,
me
the 403B is just basically, so you understand, is basically a 401k, but for a nonprofit. The the numbers, like the 403B, is just where you find the instructions on that specific plan type in the Internal Revenue Code. So it's just how you find it. It's like a chapter number almost.
Okay,
And
okay.
so 403Bs are the retirement plan for a non-for-profit institution, where a 401k would be for-profit institution, generally larger companies. Often with 403Bs, not always, but often there's no match. So do you know if you have a match with it?
I do have a match in one of these accounts. Which one I don't know, but I think it's like a 3% match.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And then you said you have a 401A, right?
Yes.
401As are often set up along with the 403B. So if you have a 403B, it is often common that you then also have a 401A and you do not contribute to that, correct?
I think I do. I'm looking at my paycheck right now to see, like,
Okay.
how the things are deducted. There's a line that says savings plan 401A Roth that is a
Oh,
deduction every month for 388.
okay. 388 every month goes into the 401A. I've actually never seen a 401A Roth.
I am not gonna lie, I don't know why I have it.
So 401As, once again, are generally nonprofit or government. Usually, when I see them, the employer is the one contributing to them,
Okay.
and not the employee. But you can contribute. But generally, I've always seen it with the employer, and I've usually seen them paired with a 403B. So
Okay.
I've never seen, not to say it doesn't exist, but I've never seen a 401A. So I'd be very curious to see that.
Yeah. I don't know what other information I have available, but maybe I need to read about it, like, in my job, like, see
Yeah,
their
and see,
description of it.
yeah, what their description is. Okay, so you have a 401A Roth and you're contributing 388 a month to it?
Yeah.
Okay, and then do you have investments in there? I just wanna make sure it's invested.
It Yes.
Okay.
It is invested. I think I just went with, like, a Vanguard, like, retirement fund for that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Just wanna make sure it wasn't in cash.
Oh, no, but yeah, I think the pension has to be, right?
Pensions, yeah, the pension's a different animal because you don't really have as much control over that. You contribute, you pay into your pension, your employer pays into your pension, and then you don't really get to like pick investments or you can sometimes nowadays take a lump sum out of your pension, but generally what you do is you choose a pension option at retirement and it's like you get paid for your whole life a certain amount and you can choose to cover your spouse and you can choose to cover them at 100% or
Okay.
50% or 25%. So I believe you what you sounds like what you have is a traditional pension, so no, you wouldn't pick investments in there, but you would pick in your 403b. So you're how much are you putting in the 403b a month, do you know?
So that's the thing, it's not on my paycheck as, like, a deduction every month. It's just the 401A.
Oh, it's just the 401a, so you're not contributing to a 403b.
No, but I have that account, but there's no, like, line on my paycheck that's, like, my 403B contributions.
So were you funding the 403b at the in the last role?
I might have been, yeah. I might have
Okay.
switched to a 401A in this role. That might explain that.
Okay, yeah, that would explain it. Okay, so then you have 18,000 there and you're now doing 388 on the 401a Roth monthly, but then you also still have a pension with the same
Yeah,
employer. And that carried over from the last role to this role, but the last role was covered under a 403b.
I guess so. Yeah, that would make sense. Because that's, I think, why I didn't count for this public student loan forgiveness in the
Yeah.
last one. But now I do in this one.
Okay, perfect. You've got all the different account types here. But you have a lot of Roth, which is really great.
I always try to do Roth. I think somebody told me once that I should, and I just kept doing it, which isn't always a great way to make decisions, but I don't know. I
No.
don't feel like I understand what I'm doing quite at all.
No, I think that the Roth is great. And you'll still be eligible once you do married filing joint. May just you'll still if you ever wanted to add to that outside of work, which I don't think you need to do, but because remember the Roth has income limitations on it. And so if you didn't do public loan service forgiveness and you do get married earlier, right, to save the money,
Mhm.
you can do married filing joint and you would still be eligible for the Roth because the income threshold for 2025 is starting at 236 modified adjusted gross income and caps out at 246,000. So you would still
Okay.
be eligible for that. So I think the Roth is great, and I didn't the 401a, I just haven't seen a Roth option, but just to let you know, it is a sponsored employer plan. It usually is for contributions made by the employer, that are not elective, which means that the employee can also make not elective. So that means is you can choose to be in there or not. And that they can also have a match in there. The times that I've seen them working with retirement is always then it's paired with a 403b, and that the employer's just putting money in there. But you know,
Mm.
there's a lot to retirement. So just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not good. So I
Yeah.
like that you're doing the Roth and you're sticking with that. Okay, so you're saving 388 a month. And then do you guys have an emergency fund?
Yeah. We have an emergency fund. Well, I have my own and he has his own because we're still
Okay.
so
So it's
separated.
separate. Yep.
But I have a $5,000 emergency fund right now, and then I also have, like, 8,000 in my checking account just because sometimes I give him more money, sometimes
Yeah.
I pay more to my student loans some months, like, I just feel like that account really varies, but I don't consider it my emergency fund. And then he has a huge emergency fund because we were funding a lot of these house product projects
Yep.
and, we just replaced our furnace, like, there was just a lot to do. So his emergency fund is absurd, it's, like, $48,000, and I keep asking him to move it, and he hasn't yet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to put that in a high yield savings account because,
He was
God,
getting 4% on it for a
okay.
while, but
Okay.
that
Good.
just stopped, and so I think that's when I started harping on him to move it. It was fine when it was getting, like, 4%, but now that it's getting
Yeah.
2, I think he should
Yeah.
move it.
Yeah. You could get like at least 3.5 on that.
Right. Right.
And then what about your fiance? What does he have saved for retirement?
He has about 47,000 in his, like, retirement
Great.
account,
That's
and
amazing.
he has it, like, kind of separated too. He technically has, like, an emergency fund in that, which his person told him to do, but I think he's gonna move it so that that's all, like,
Oh, that should
stocks.
yeah, that should all be invested. He does not need an
Yeah.
emergency fund in his retirement account. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So when we move this money that was getting 4%, like, into these we're gonna put it into his retirement. At least probably half of it is gonna just go straight to his retirement, and then he has, like, part of it is a Roth, and part of it is just, like, mutual funds, but
So he has a non-retirement account.
I
He's
guess
saving
so.
it. Yeah, so he has some that's Roth, some that's non-retirement. Because there's limits on how much you can put in retirement. So he can move some of the 48,000 into the market, but then he can keep the rest in cash. So yeah, okay. So yeah, I would say the 47 that he's putting down his retirement should all be invested, and then he can add to the portion of it that's invested outside of a Roth or a traditional.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And then does he have any retirement through his work, like a small business retirement
No.
plan? Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of the downside of his job, like, he doesn't
Okay.
get the health insurance or the retirement plan.
Got it. Okay. But he's saving on his own and he can continue to do the he can even if you did do married filing joint because this is important, you would still he would still be able to continue doing his Roth.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was wondering if we could both do our Roth contributions.
Yeah, you can do it outside of work or you could bump up your work retirement one. It's the same.
Okay.
Yeah, you're saving it's both Roth, so however you wanna do it, but yes, married filing joint, your income will be below the thresholds, you can both do Roths, which is important.
Okay. That's very good because I also have my, like, Vanguard account that I do have, like, the Roth in and the work account that I have the Roth in too.
Mhm.
So
Right,
that's,
so you
like,
could
3 Roths between us.
yes, that's 3 Roths between you, which is great, that's kinda
Okay.
why I guess with the student loan because it's the only debt, right? So you guys have very good cash flow, very low expenses.
And his car. The only thing I remembered I didn't
Okay.
tell you was his car. He owes, like, 10,000 on his car,
Why
but
doesn't he
that's
just
it.
pay that off with the
I
cash
don't
he has?
know. I don't yeah. I don't know. We've got kind of, like things have grown out of proportion, and it all seems
Yeah.
overwhelming to approach.
So here's what I would say to simplify it from an outside perspective, and as you know, there is no right or wrong. Like, if you listen to a different advisor, they might have different advice or a different financial expert, they might have different advice, or even a therapist might have different advice, right? There's no
Right.
textbook. But what I would say makes sense because everything is pretty integrated for you guys at this point is opening a joint account where all the joint bills are,
Okay.
like the mortgage, the utilities, um, cell phones, like all the stuff, and I don't know who would manage that. I don't know if he would manage that or you would manage it, but you both have
Probably me.
okay, so then you would manage it. So all your joint bills go in. This is just an idea. And then you each contribute to the joint account, right? And then
Okay.
that's where all the bills get paid. So also groceries, right? Because you're sharing groceries and all that. And then you each have your individual accounts that you still have. And that's maybe where you use that for shopping or your student loan payment, right? And then he
Okay.
has his separate account that he uses for, I don't know. Sounds like he's very busy working two jobs, really. So when he goes out with his
Yeah.
friends, or you each have
Yeah.
your own accounts, right? That you manage individually for your stuff, but then you have this joint account, which is all your household and shared expenses.
Okay. Yeah, that would really simplify things for us.
Yeah.
And then I could contribute like a fair amount, like, given that I make more, like I would want to contribute like a more fair amount to all of those things.
Yeah, or even I think that, life is a balance. And even if it's he's covering more of the bills for the next 3 to 4 years, so you get your loans paid off. And then after that, then it switches and you
Right.
contribute more, right? Or
Right.
you take the money you were putting towards the loan and open up a joint account, like an investment account, and you contribute money that way. So then you save another, as we talked about, you save another $75,000 towards something in the future. Or you put
Right.
more towards the mortgage
Right. Because
if you
this will not be like our final home. If we have a family, like it's just not big enough. So
yeah,
we probably will have to think about like saving for a
saving.
home in the next 10 years too.
So that's what I would do. Then I would pay off the student loan, get it be done, and then I would take the same amount, the 1,050, because we say, or we're gonna say in theory you're saving on the health insurance, and then I would invest that over 6 years. That'll get you out 10 years, and then that would get you without investment returns $75,000 saved. So that would be money for a down payment for another home.
Cool. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and I might get some hate for saying just to pay off your student loans and not do the 10 years. I just think it sounds like flexibility is more of a priority than saving $10,000.
I think so, yeah, because, like, what if, what if I wanted to go part-time or switch to a role where I could go part-time and, like, be more involved with a potential family one day, like, that might be important to consider.
Mhm.
I couldn't do that in my current role.
Right. Yep. So I think this is so what I would do from following our conversation is sit down with your fiance and run through both scenarios, right? And say one option is we do the public loan forgiveness. I have to commit to staying working for a qualifying employer for the next 9 years, and we'll end up saving, let's say, about 10,000 and give or take, just ballpark. Or, maybe we get married now, we do the license now, we save 250 a month on your health insurance, I put you on mine. We organize our bills so they're, a joint account so we can clearly see what's coming in, what's going out, right? And I put
Yeah,
$1,000 a month towards these loans and we get done in 3 or 4 years. And then I take that $1,000 a month and we put it towards saving for another down payment, and then you say what feels better for you in your life and your goals. But I would
right.
have like a family conversation about it.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful because I think it was it's turned into this, like, crazy thing, and I wasn't even sure where to start, so that's super helpful.
Yeah, I would do that, and then you're aligned and you have a plan of like, okay, he's covering more bills for 3 years, but then at that point, then your student loans are done, then we're gonna use those funds so that I'm predominantly saving, right? You would then predominantly be saving for that down payment. That would be more of your income. Would
Right.
be, and that's fair because he helps support you to pay those loans, and now you're gonna put the brunt of the future down payment together.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I love that plan actually. That's
Okay,
really
great.
helpful. Yeah, it is.
So then that way, so it's like it's a team effort, right? So you're not all gonna be pulling it and pushing at the same time, right? So I think I would sit down and see if he feels comfortable with that and likes that, and that aligns with, you know, both of your goals together. But that sounds like it could work, and then you're debt free really young. You have no
Mhm.
debt, really young, and you have really good income, and I think that gives you a lot of freedom and flexibility. Like you said, you could go part time, you could take a year off. Like there's a lot of flexibility at that point because you have no debt, very low expenses. Not no debt, you have the mortgage, but I mean at what your interest rate is, it's and the amount it's so low. Um,
Right.
so then you have super low expenses, very good income, and then it gives you a lot of control over your life.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a great approach. I would not have come up with that by myself reading, hours and hours of internet things. So
No,
thank
because
you.
the internet doesn't talk back to you.
Right,
That's the
right,
hard part. And, yeah, you have to that's why this is why I find it so interesting is because there's the textbook answer that you base it just on math, like, what is your cheapest option? But cheaper, as you know, in life is not always the best option.
right, right. Yeah, it would
Yeah.
be so nice to be able to be like debt free and then like pivot our goals if we wanted to and like,
Yeah.
have just up and move if we needed to or anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you have any other questions for me? We're about at time.
No, I mean, this is incredibly helpful. Just, I really appreciate you taking the time to like go over this with me. I would have never come up with this in a million years. I guess that's why it's your job and not mine. But so helpful and especially with our wedding coming up and like planning for everything, just having a game plan to combine everything is really, really helpful.
Oh, good. Well, I'm so happy. Well, Maude, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you sharing with everybody. And for all of our lovely listeners, we are recording a few more slots. I think we have like 4 more guest slots that we'll record here over the summer. So if you're interested in being a guest, you should send us a DM on Instagram at the Future Rich Podcast or on our website, www.futurerichpodcast.com.
Time for our disclaimer. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance references are historical and do not guarantee future results. Make sure that you consult with your own legal, tax, and/or financial advisor before making any decisions.